Welcome, everybody, to the X Factor podcast. Supposedly the show producer down there. Anyway, that's Jon Rennie over there, my fearless leader and the moral compass of this podcast.
Oh gosh, that's scary. We put a sailor in charge of the moral compass. That's
a sailor in charge of a podcast, and it's a rudderless ship.
Absolutely.
The irony.
That's a great description of this podcast.
Filled with, but we don't have any Somali pirates.
No, we should get some. Yeah, that would make it a little more chaotic.
Yep. So this episode, as the past episodes, have been brought to you by Bottom Gun Coffee. Our friends at Bottom Gun Coffee are submariners.
Yes.
And they have Ahab's Revenge. They have a breakfast blend. It is bold, delicious coffee. Check them out at bottomguncoffee.com.
Absolutely. And I'm actually sporting the hat. So shout out to my friends at Bottom Gun Coffee. Bill Moser sent this out to me. I appreciate it. I got a hat. I got, of course, the mug. And I've got a cup of Bottom Gun Coffee right here, drinking for the show.
Bill, if you're listening, I sent you a book and I haven't gotten a hat yet. What the
I need to send Bill a book.
Come on, Bill. Step your game up. Be better, Bill. I'm just kidding. We love you, Bill. And we love all of our P1 listeners. If you are not a P1 listener, there's a simple, easy way for you to become a P1. If you're new to the show and you're like, what's all this P1 stuff about? And if they're P1s or they're P2s or they're P3s, well, explain all this, John.
Yeah, well, the old cars, the old AM, FM radios in cars used to have presets for the radio. So you'd preset, 1, 2, 3, 4 right along the dial, right? And the P1.
They still do.
Yeah, I was thinking about the old mechanical, like the 57 Chevy
where you have to punch the button.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was thinking. But yeah, you're right. They do have them today.
That's because you're old.
Yeah, that's true.
He's so old, he farts dust.
Much to the chagrin of my wife. But yeah, so
blame it on the dogs. That's what I do in my house. So yeah, you push the button. Preset number 1 should be your favorite station, right?
Yep, exactly. And so this should be your favorite podcast. So we highly encourage you to like, share, tell your friends. And one of the things we really like is comments. So either on our YouTube page, or you can actually record a voice message on our website. But just let us know what you like, what you don't like, and just be crazy. Roast us, as we say. We like Bottom Gun Coffee. This is dark roast right here. Get some dark roasts on us. Get us some, as Coach Bruce says, broast us. Have fun with it.
The best broasting, and I believe this shall remain the gold standard for quite some time until someone knocks him off of his throne. He has the heavyweight championship belt right now. Yes, Mr. James Elliott. And we will drop right now, show producer, we're going to drop in the final product his wonderful voice message that he left us.
As a P1 listener of the X Factor podcast, it is my solemn duty to provide commentary. When you first see it on YouTube, you might think you're watching a 21st century woke version of the Brady Bunch, but you'd be wrong. The X Factor is a new, awesome, and succulent podcast featuring 2 global icons, the creative genius of Coach Jon Brubaker and the solid character of Jon Rennie. Like the Wonder Twins of the Justice League, they touch rings to take on the form of the X Factor. Let's first start with the White Terror of the North, the deadlifting, former naval officer, forever submariner, and leadership guru, Jon Rennie. Jon is the successful CEO of Peak Demand and the best-selling author of the book, I Have the Watch, which I have a personalized signed copy. Jon has his own podcast called Deep Leadership, and when Jon is not mentoring others to become better leaders, he is enjoying his 4 basic food groups of Bottom Gun black coffee, bourbon, pre-workout powder, and protein drinks. Jon's best leadership posts on social media come late at night when he's enjoying a good glass of bourbon. Jon is the anchor of the X Factor podcast and is a perfect balance to the ADD rabbit hole diving co-host, Coach Brew. So this brings us to Coach Jon Brubaker. The yin to Jon Rennie's yang, Coach Brew is a mankini wearing, photoshopping, former lacrosse who the hell plays lacrosse? Anyway, never mind. Former lacrosse coach, who is now an executive coach and internationally celebrated author. 2 of his most popular books have been Seeds of Success and Stadium Status. While most people don't know jack about coaching and mentoring, Coach Brew is an expert. When he is not recording the X Factor or pinching the nipples of Vikings, Coach Brew is on a worldwide book tour to promote his new book, Beyond Stadium Status. His book has had a wildly successful release, and it's rumored that the book is even popular with such dictators as Kim Jong-un, President Xi, and Nancy Pelosi. Now, I would be remiss not to mention the DFE. Pulling this 2-ring circus together, working his magic in the lower square, is no other than the ringmaster, the intern, the director of freaking everything, the one and only Parker. Parker is an outstanding kid who happens to be too young to remember Seinfeld. When he's not watching his favorite boy band videos on MySpace, Parker is producing, looking up info on Wikipedia, and keeping track of the podcast finds for free shoutouts. So if you're looking for a show that is fun and that will give you a wild ride like day-old gas station sushi, the X Factor podcast is for you. You will love every minute of the show, or you'll hate it. Honestly, it's your problem, not mine. But you must experience it before they get themselves canceled. Finally, if you want to become a P1 listener, it's simple. Subscribe, like, share, leave your own comments, and check out their sponsor, Bottom Gun Coffee. I have spoken.
And that's the standard that you should attempt to meet.
The gold standard.
Meet or beat if you can. So we've laid down the gauntlet. James Elliott has set the bar very high. Shout out to James. And yeah, have at it, folks. The challenge is sent your way officially. And today's episode, we're talking about X Factor restaurants.
Yes.
And restaurants are those things that about a year ago used to be open for indoor dining in all 50 states. And
indoor dining, what are you talking about?
Yeah, then we had an election, and everything closed because of the pandemic, and now magically elected officials, ugly celebrities, politicians in many states are saying we need to reopen indoor dining. And coincidentally, that's going to happen when Kamala Harris is inaugurated as president on the 20th.
Wait, what?
Is it the 20th or the 19th? 21st?
No, who is Kamala Harris? I thought she was the vice president.
So technically, yes, she's the vice president. The person who, so for those of you who've been living under a rock and aren't up on current events, or maybe decided to do a digital detox with the news, Joe Biden was elected president. He finished 5th in the New Hampshire primary, in the Democratic primary, behind Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and one other person, I forget who, and barely finished 5th ahead of what's his name, that weird guy. Anyway, the weird guy, that really narrows it down. So he finished 5th in New Hampshire primary and supposedly got more votes than anyone in the history of elections in America. And then decided for a running mate to go with a woman who got less than 5% of the votes during the primary. And supposedly she's popular. But because I believe Joe is in cognitive decline, Nancy Pelosi will invoke the 25th Amendment and remove him from office shortly after he is inaugurated. and Kamala Harris will become the president, John.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. That's this is your Nostradamus moment right now, where you're predicting the future. We'll see what pans out. And Coach Brew just predicted the future president of the United States.
They give us 60 days tops.
All right.
Before he is.
Parker, remember that. Write that down, and we'll test it in 60 days. If we're not canceled by then, we'll test it.
I'll make sure to save this clip.
Coach, I got a bone to pick with you.
Just one?
Well, many, but this one is in particular with movies and movie quotes.
Okay.
So, we talked about older movies and movies we liked, and you referred to Slapshot a lot in some of your quotes.
Yep.
So what I did was last night, I thought, well, this would be fun. I'll have my oldest son and my wife, and we'll watch Slapshot together. Because in my memory, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it doesn't hold up. It is not a funny movie. It's got too much of a storyline and not enough slapstick humor. I remember the triplets being the funniest part of that movie, and weren't they
the Ramones? Isn't that the Ramones in real life?
It was the Ramones. Yeah, I think so. but they're in such a small part of the movie. But what was kind of funny was there was one scene where the main character's having a discussion with his ex-wife, and she's basically topless, sitting up in bed for like almost 10 minutes. And I'm in there watching this with my wife and my son. So anyways.
See, this is back when people had an attention span in the 70s.
It's such a long movie. It is funny. There are funny parts, but it's spread out by long distances of things that are not funny. So Parker, if you haven't seen Slapshot yet, may not be as great as I remembered it.
You should still go see it. It's nostalgia.
It is nostalgia, but it could have been
vintage
funnier.
Sports movie.
It didn't. I hyped it up with my family, and it wasn't.
I forget the guy's name, the player's name, but his girlfriend, when he's on the bus and they're about to leave for a road trip, and she hands him like this trashy romance novel.
Yeah.
And says, "I highlighted the."
The sex scenes.
Yeah. And he just kind of rolls his eyes and takes the book. And then Paul Newman looks at him. He's like, how can you not love a woman that highlights the scenes for you? And so anyway, like fast forward, he and the girlfriend or wife or whoever it was get into a fight. And Newman, like being the calming influence he thought he was, like kind of like settles her down or whatever. And just, I think it's the best line in the movie, and a line I just love to quote anytime there's any sort of conflict anywhere. Me being the calming influence, voice of reason that I am. Don't mind her; she's just scrapping. So I just think it's a great quote. Don't mind her; she's just scrapping.
Scrapping.
There are a lot of people out there who are just scrapping, and that's okay. That's good. We should all just be scrapping.
I love it.
That's what we are on this podcast. We are scrappy, and we're supposedly talking about restaurants, even though John's talking about movies.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I had to pick
I'm the ADD one. Yeah. Okay.
Well, you are.
And I still haven't seen Top Gun.
No. So I'm going to start off with talking about
restaurants. Indoor dining, all that.
Indoor dining, and actually, this case, indoor and outdoor dining. So, I'm going to talk about a barbecue place in a town called Greenville, North Carolina, and I want to talk about a barbecue place that has been around for 44 years, and it is a place that time forgot, and that's what makes it kind of special. So, this place is called Bee's Barbecue, and it is one of the greatest Eastern-style barbecue joints in North Carolina. It's been featured in newspaper articles and TV shows, books, magazines. And what's amazing about this place is that...
Now, hang on, John. Here's where our listeners are going to get all up in arms.
Okay.
And they're going to argue that, hey, South Carolina barbecue is better than North Carolina barbecue. Or Texas barbecue is the best. There's nothing else. There's no barbecue outside of Texas, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And everyone's got their own position. Barbecue and politics have a lot in common. They're very polarizing. Everyone has their own position, and they're convinced they're right, and no one's changing their mind.
And there's a lot of pork.
So don't even bother arguing, folks. Don't at me about
Yeah.
like what's the best. Like everyone, it's personal preference. Just
Yeah.
appreciate the fact that there are other barbecue aficionados, and check your ego at the door. Thank you. That concludes my TED Talk.
Exactly. So, but what I said was it's one of the greatest Eastern style barbecues. So we just leave it there. Let's not argue styles, but this is a vinegar based type of a barbecue,
which is the best.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
What is the different types of barbecue?
Oh man, that could go into a deep hole that I'm not prepared to dive into. So, but I would say in general,
this
Eastern
confirms. John, hang on. I got this. This confirms my suspicion.
Yes.
That at birth he was adopted by an Amish family, and has lived such a secluded, sheltered life.
Right.
He's like, "What is this barbecue you speak of? Jebediah never told me about barbecue at the barn raisings. There are different kinds of barbecue. Who knew?"
I meant like base wise, because I know there's vinegar, but what are the other like styles?
So, like when you went to different Amish farms, they all had their butter urns and they would churn their butter, and it would taste slightly different in different families. This is kind of like the way barbecue is to meat eaters as butter is to Amish families like yours, Parker. Do you understand now?
Yeah, I got it.
Sweet.
I don't. Yeah.
Go ahead, John. Please continue.
So here's what's kind of neat about this place. When you go there, it looks like an old gas station, an old rundown gas station. No, it looks just like an old rundown gas station. That's exactly what it looks like. And
it's
faded signs.
Rudy's Barbecue in Austin, Texas is the same way.
If you just see like a gravel
gas
park
station and barbecue sign, you're getting awesome barbecue no matter where you go, right?
So check this out. No phone, no website, no air conditioning, and no credit cards are accepted. And there's no posted hours of operation except an old hand-painted sign on the building that says closed Sunday and Monday. That's it. There's no opening, no closing. So what they do is they open generally, and this is the South, generally at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And they close when they run out of food every day. That's what they do.
We got a donut place up here. It's like that. The Holy Donut.
Yeah. So
they're
what's
open
remarkable
until it's gone.
And what's remarkable is that those days a week, those 5 days a week they operate, there's a line all the way out to the street every day from 9 until when they run out of food. And it's crazy. So with no website, no email. So all this stuff people say, we got to have social media presence. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got this. They said, screw it. Right? We're just going to make really good barbecue and do it the same as they always have done it for the past 44 years. And that's pretty amazing. And what's interesting is that the guy who started it his name was Bill McClorhorn. I don't know how to say this. McClorhorn, I guess. McClorhorn. Anyways, he had a hobby of barbecue, and he turned his hobby into a business. He said I was pretty good at this. So he started doing it. And his daughters now run the business, and they basically are doing exactly the same thing that he did. And it's funny because it's kind of interesting. They were in a recent magazine interview, and people are asking them, why don't you get a bigger building? Why don't you do a website? Why don't you sell your sauces online? Why don't you? And this is what she said, and I love this. This is the daughter. She said, we'd like to have a nice fancy new building or 8 or 10 more people working here. But to us, when you start doing all that, then it's like every other restaurant. And that's not what we wanted it to be. That's not what my dad wanted it to be. He wanted it to be ours.
Keeping the legacy alive. They're not succumbing to big barbecue.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love that story, and it's this idea of being original and staying true to your roots. And that's one way to be X Factor, because, you can hire an MBA and they'll come in there and say, oh, you got to get a website. You got to sell your sauces online. You got to do this. And they just said, screw it. We're going to keep to what is original and what is, what makes us great. And we're just going to continue to do it.
Where they're located.
Yeah.
If they did all that stuff, new building, new signage, a web presence, sauces, congratulations, you're just like Smithfield's.
You're just like, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, you're the corporate,
which is like the KFC of barbecue in the South, Smithfield's, or at least in North Carolina. Yeah.
So I think Bees stands out to me as being original and being an X factor for just being original. And just, the other thing is just being true to what you want to do, right? Especially if we're talking entrepreneurs, business leaders, if it's your business, do what you want to do, right? Don't succumb to the pressures of trying to make it like everybody else's business. Be you, be original, do what you like. And again, you've mentioned it, Coach Brew, chase excellence, not the dollars, right? And I think this is an example of a place you can go to and actually see what it was like 40 years ago, because it hasn't changed in 40 years.
Let me ask you this, John.
Yeah.
Someone's listening to this and they're like, you know what? I want to start a business.
Yeah.
John and the DFE, not so much the DFE, but John and John have inspired me to start a business. How would you advise someone, a young millennial or Gen Z, who went to a liberal arts college and majored in feminist dance therapy and is sick of being a barista at Starbucks and decides she or he or Zim wants to open a business? But they have to do it like how could you today open a business and do it, not necessarily a barbecue business, but do it like Bees Barbecue? You can't have a Facebook page. You can't do digital marketing.
Yeah.
Like, how could someone, like, they've at least been steeped in tradition, and those are generational strategies before the interwebs were around. So they've set that precedent. This is just the way we roll. How could someone start out doing that and actually be successful without technology, credit card processing, a merchant account, all that stuff?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Coach. I think the one area you could do is a service business, like a local, dog walker, say. You're passionate about pets, right? You want to be a dog walker. You can be an amazing dog walker, and you can use word of mouth as your advertising, right? And I think, one of the things I know about them is I wrote an article about Bees Barbecue, and I said, word of mouth trumps advertising. It trumps. I know.
Orange man bad. Can't use that word.
What'd I say? Trump. Oh, sorry. Trigger warning. Oh, I forgot about. I can't say that.
Yeah, we're gonna get. You just got us deplatformed.
There's a lot of power in word of mouth, above social media, above advertising, and it's one of the things I see in my business, right? If I want to nail a customer, I have another person in my industry tell them about me. Then I will always land that account. If it's me trying to tell a customer about me, they're like, all right, we'll check you out. But when you say,
Parker, edit out the part where you said, if I want to nail a customer. That didn't sound good, John. No, don't really leave it in. That's good.
No, yeah. Anyways, that's Bill McClahorn and his daughters, and it's Bees Barbecue, and it's all about, I think, being true, being original, and sticking to the principles that made you unique in the first place.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you've got to be willing to have someone tell you something's a bad idea. And you got to be like, you have to be, because I'm sure, when you do something as in such an excellent manner as they do, it's not for a lack of people on your team giving you ideas and how can we make this better? How, what do we need to start doing? What do we need to stop doing? What do we need to keep doing? But you've got to be willing to listen to someone when they tell you we shouldn't do that thing because it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I call it the Jar Jar Binks phenomenon.
My favorite character in all of Star Wars, and you're going to give him a hard time, right? What?
You're kidding, right?
Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Yeah.
All right. So George Lucas reached such a level of success that everyone just went along with whatever his next idea was. And Jar Jar Binks was a colossal disaster.
Yeah.
And people on his team, like his creative, team, that was predictable.
Yeah.
But no one had the courage to say, George, listen, hang on, let me close the door. Listen, between you and me, we've got history here. We've known each other for a while. I really want you to hear me when I tell you this. Jar Jar Binks is the worst idea you've ever had. We should not do that. It will tarnish your legacy. Yeah, I know. Every other time you've been at bat, you've hit a home run or a triple. I get that. And there have been men on base. And you got this wonderful, wonderful reputation. Like, you're the gold standard. That's a really bad idea. We should not do it.
Yeah.
Now, people either just assumed he had this halo effect or Midas effect and everything he touched turned to gold, or he wasn't approachable and he didn't feel comfortable letting people give him real, honest, meaningful feedback. And for you to remain as excellent as you have, Bees Barbecue, there's someone at the top of the org chart who's willing to listen to the people underneath them. And I salute that.
Yeah.
Because like egos are fragile.
Yeah.
With leaders. And obviously they have someone who's willing to help them shoot ideas down.
Yep. No, I mean, as a leader myself, I want to hear people with different ideas. Right. So a lot of high ego leaders, they want a bunch of yes men, yes women surrounding them. I'm not into that. I want to hear opposing ideas. I don't want to hear yes all the time. Yeah. Coach Brew, Bees Barbecue.
John.
That's my story. What do you got going on for us today? Something about 50-50 something or other.
So, my X Factor restaurant that I wanted to highlight for you is, this is a toss up, because there's so many. I enjoy food dining when I travel and just kind of experiencing the culture and the local flavor of the places I travel to, especially when I'm speaking and I have a lot of downtime. Instead of sitting in the hotel, I'll ask the Uber driver, I'll ask a local, what's the best barbecue joint? And I'll say, take me there, or where do the locals go? And here's a pro tip for you. If you're looking for nightlife and you're trying to figure out like what bar to go to, ask a bartender. Where do the bartenders hang out? Not where's the popular place the tourists go or the locals go. Like, real recognizes real. If you're looking to go to a good bar, ask a bartender, like a professional bartender. Where do you guys go after hours? So with that in mind, I decided to choose Hooters restaurant. It's toss up between Hooters and the Tilted Kilt.
Wait.
They're restaurants. Have you heard the term restaurant? I'm kidding.
We have these pre-show meetings where we talk about what we're going to talk about, and I don't remember Hooters or the Tilted Kilt coming up.
I was about to
try and throw you a curveball.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah. So the place that I chose is my absolute favorite restaurant, and you would be hard pressed. So I'm going to tell you the name of it, and you're going to say, "Oh, I've never been there. I've never heard of it. Perhaps, what's it like? Compare it to something I know." So, for example, like Parker being Amish and being sheltered. If we're talking about burgers and fast food, which we're not, but if we were, hypothetically, say, you ever heard of Wendy's? No, what's that like, John? It's like Burger King. Well, what's that like? It's like McDonald's. What's that like? It's like Carl's Jr. or Hardee's if you're east of the Mississippi. Same thing. Oh, what's that like? It's like In-N-Out. They're all kind of the same. They're just variations on theme. The one I am about to share with you, there is no comparison. Like, I couldn't even begin to tell you anything like it, but we are talking about burgers.
Yes.
Do you appreciate a good burger, John?
Oh my goodness. I do. In the Navy, we used to call them sliders, and
Yep.
they weren't very good.
Well, you like
But
those little White Castle burgers because they make you feel like a giant when you hold them. It's the same reason you drink out of airplane bottles.
that's why, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the feeling. Yeah.
Parker, do you know what a hamburger is?
Absolutely.
Okay, just making sure.
Don't ask him about cheeseburger. That's
No.
pushing it.
Yeah. So Slater's 50/50 burger
Ooh, sounds
is
good.
the most X Factor restaurant I know. And here's why. It started out very organically in
Like
that
organic food or
no. It started out very organically in that it was just a guy, Scott Slater, making hamburgers, tailgating at San Diego Chargers game.
Nice.
And he made a special hamburger patty that was half beef, half ground beef, half ground bacon.
What?
Yeah.
Wait,
Hence
what?
the term 50/50 burger, 50% ground beef, 50% ground bacon. And it became the stuff of legends at these tailgates. And it took on a life of its own. They were huge. They tasted different. He would put all kinds of different toppings and things, condiments, whatever, on them. And that just sparked an interest in, and kind of like a cult following. He decides to open up a burger joint. So he opened up the original Slater's 50/50 burger in San Diego. And it is not so much just a burger joint, just a restaurant. It is a lesson in marketing and in visual aesthetics when it comes to food. You've heard the term food porn. This is food porn on steroids or jet fuel, like times 1,000, because you don't just get a cheeseburger or a hamburger there. You get the craziest burger recipes possible. Like you could get a burger with an egg and Canadian bacon on it, like almost like a breakfast burger. My favorite, I'll just tell you, my favorite is the peanut butter and jealousy burger.
All right, wait, whoa. First of all, I'm with you with half bacon, half meat. I'm riding with you. I'm right beside you.
You're my ride or die, baby.
I am. I'm on the bench seat with you, ride or die all the way. But then you went to peanut butter and jealousy.
Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast.
All right. Okay. So explain this.
Peanut butter and jelly.
Listen
peanut
to this.
Butter and jelly.
So listen to this. It is a bacon double cheeseburger.
Okay, you got me there. I'm good with you there so far.
With strawberry jelly on the bun.
Nope.
And peanut butter between the patty and the bun. And if that wasn't enough, you need to opt for getting it served a la mode with a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of it.
Oh, wait. I actually was starting to get into the jelly. I was thinking about what the taste is like.
It's the salty and sweet
salty
combination.
And sweet together.
Yeah.
I was thinking like that's probably good, but then the ice cream threw me off.
It's phenomenal. And
how do you eat it?
Very carefully. You need to show up hungry. Like we a year ago this week. This is how much things have changed in the world.
I know.
It was 2 years ago. I'm sorry. 2 years ago this week.
I was going to say, yeah.
My wife and I went to San Diego. I had a speaking gig. She tagged along and we turned it into like a little vacation on the front and the back end of my speaking gig. And the day before we left, I was fasting. I did not eat until we got to San Diego. The second we got off the plane, stepped out of the airport, I ordered an Uber. We went directly to Slater's 50/50 burger.
Nice.
And I just ate like I was on my way to the electric chair. They have a chocolate milkshake with slices of bacon in it.
Oh, wait.
It's amazing.
All right.
Chocolate covered bacon.
I don't think I can get into it's like you had me on the 50/50 burger, you had me on the like the double cheeseburger, double bacon burgers thing, all of that. But the peanut butter and the jelly, I can kind of go with just like I don't know, like ice cream on top, and then you got like a chocolate shake with bacon in it.
It's all going the same place, Parker. It all ends up the same place.
It's interesting, Coach, because we tend to like, just as people, right? We tend to kind of get into what we like, right? We go to the same restaurants. We kind of order typically the same food. I went to my favorite restaurant last night. I had typically what I order every time, right? But I think sometimes, why not, right? Why not go someplace and eat something that you will not make for yourself, or that's not at your typical, restaurant, your favorite restaurant, or what have you. You go and you get something kind of crazy and enjoy it. I mean, it's I always talk about getting out of your comfort zone, right? As a person, we have to do that. If we really want to grow, if we really want to learn, you got to get out of your comfort zone. And for me, eating a burger that looks like that would definitely be out of my comfort zone. But I imagine I'd have a great story. Here. Yeah, no matter what happens, right? You're going to have a great story that comes out of it,
So as you're listening to this, to your point, go to their Instagram account, folks, because it is a lesson in just viral marketing. It's a lesson in crowdsourcing. Most of their recipes are created by their customers. You can design your own burger however you want it. You can get a chicken and waffle burger. You can get a Thanksgiving burger. And like a lot of these recipes are created, it's crowdsourced by their customers. And
awesome.
When they become popular, they put them on the menu and they keep them there. They recently revamped their menu from the last time I saw it. They have 100 beers on tap, and it's designed to be excessive. And one of the reasons I think they're very X Factor is they've also invented their own word. Mm-hmm. And when you're using your own special language and you've entered things kind of into the lexicon, that's like really differentiating. So they've coined the term excestasy, not ecstasy, excestasy.
Yeah, that's what I see.
And you'll see hashtag excestasy with all of their posts of these crazy concoctions. One of the things they do to just like, again, be different or be invisible, get people talking. If you order a Mickey's Big Mouth 40-ounce bottle, they serve it to you in a paper bag. So you're literally sitting there at your table having this enormous burger that ought to have its own zip code, drinking a 40 out of a paper bag.
Love it.
Different.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it was all organic in that it was just born of him creating this concoction. It became kind of this cult following. It went from one store or one restaurant to a bunch of locations in California. It was kind of well known, in Southern California. And then they have locations in Colorado, Nevada. They've got a place in Hawaii, and they just opened up in Texas. Nice. Now everything's bigger in Texas, and as opposed to competing with barbecue or steaks, like he's really carved out a unique thing there. That's it's Texas-sized burger,
Yeah.
And so I just have a ton of respect for the creativity, the entrepreneurial mindset, and the willingness to be that bold,
that
different. When, and there are going to be a lot of people like Parker and be like, it's not for me. Great. We don't want you there because it's not for you. And that's not a slight against you. And this is the lesson, I think, for every business owner, every leader. How do you apply this opportunity filter for your business? You're not going to be for everybody, but the people that you are for, they're going to be diehard. They're going to ride with the brand forever. They're going to love you, and they are going to tell other people. They're going to share, their pictures. They're going to want to create and name their own recipes, so to speak. And so you want to paint those people into the picture, let them help paint the picture as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I love them. Slaters5050.com. Check it out.
Slaters5050 sounds amazing.
I wrote about them in my book, Stadium Status.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I heard it from. I know as soon as you said it, I was like, I've heard this before. I've never eaten there, but so it was in the original Stadium Status.
It's a nice shirt you got on, John.
Oh,
forgot to mention that earlier.
Yeah. Chin up, chest out.
That's beautiful.
.com. By the way, Coach Brew, you mentioned it. I'm going
Yes,
to
sir.
I'm going to do a little I'll do a little shout out, a free shout out to you for
Nice.
Beyond Stadium Status is out. Your new book, Coach Brew. I'm super excited about this. I just got it the other day. I did a little
How many pages did you color in so far?
not all of them yet. It's 240 pages. I'm just really getting started. So, but coloring, yep. I didn't color yet. So
the best feedback I got on it so far was, dude, I laughed my effing ass off at the dedication.
Oh yeah, no, the dedication was phenomenal. I did get through that part, and I laughed as well. And knowing you, and by the way, I saw this. There is the most handsome man in this picture in the book. Look at that. Back in the days when I wore a tie, there's a little bit of me.
Fella. Yep.
There's a little bit of me in this book. I was a little shocked at that. As CEO of Peak Demand and the days. Anyways, beyondstadiumstatus.com. Get your copy. This is a phenomenal book. And I read the first book, implemented the ideas from the first book, made me a lot of money. Read the second book. Yes.
$1.2 million.
$1.2 million is, yeah, exactly. So I didn't, yeah. What's that, Parker?
Just to add in.
Yes, studio boy.
One, I would definitely try the 50-50 burger because
we're back
I'm
on
not
that.
lame
Okay.
and boring. Yeah, I'm not lame and boring. I would try it because I think it's so different that people. I mean, it's going to catch somebody's eye. It caught my eye. It caught me off guard. I would still try it though. And two, I actually looked up the barbecue stuff, and so there's 4 main types of barbecue.
Okay.
Kansas City style, Memphis style, Texas style, and Carolina style.
There's 2 Carolinas though.
There's 2 Carolinas.
The South Carolina is tomato based. The North Carolina is vinegar based. North Carolina barbecue is better than any of those other ones you mentioned, in my humble but highly accurate opinion. That's just my personal preference. I love them all. But if I'm going down to Texas, I'm getting brisket.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Once you've had brisket in Texas, that's barbecue.
Yeah.
Maybe now I just said something controversial, but that is very true.
Oh, by the way, you remember how I told you, like, pro tip, ask the bartender what bars to go to, ask the Uber driver, like, what's a great local owned small restaurant. So we're in the Uber on our way to Slater's. And I said, like, okay, this is like my first meal of the day. As far as dinner goes, where would you recommend we go if we wanted to get some good, authentic Mexican? And he's like, Tijuana. And like, he wasn't kidding.
Well, it's right there. Mexico's right there.
Right there.
Go to Mexico.
Now, here's the best part. I looked at my wife. I'm like, we don't have our passports. And I said, we forgot our passports. He's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, excuse me? He's like, you can still go over. Like, yeah, but will we be able to get back in the U.S.? Like, would we be able to get back? Yeah. He's like, oh, yeah. So this is 2 years ago. Think about, like, how porous our border must be that you can just go right over and come back through the border crossing without a passport. Really?
Yeah.
He was dead serious. That's amazing.
Yeah.
You don't have to climb a wall.
No, you come right through. But true story. When I was stationed, I was in San Diego for a couple of times for training in the Navy, and we were allowed to go to Tijuana, but it was such a seedy place, and there was so many bad things happened after dark, that we had to be back over the border before it got dark. Like almost like being a kid, you gotta be in before the street lights come on. We had to be back on base before
the live donkey sex show started. Yes.
Let's just end it on that.
Isn't that what TJ's famous for?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
So, Parker, actually, I don't want you talking anymore. More of us and less of you is a good thing. John, what do you want the listeners to do after they've thoroughly enjoyed this podcast?
Well, certainly, like, if you're watching this on YouTube, you want to like it, you want to add a comment, you want to, and then if you're listening to it on podcast, you can also do the same thing. You want to subscribe if you're on the podcast. And the other thing is share it with a friend. I think what we're trying to do here is give you some business lessons that are really important, but I also think we have a little bit of fun doing it. I mean, we talk about donkeys. We talk about everything in this show. So again, it's you're getting serious business lessons without serious hosts. And I think that's really important.
Infotainment at its finest. I am going to take a page out of B's barbecue playbook.
Yes.
I don't want you to use technology to spread the word about this podcast.
Nice.
I want you to just tell somebody.
Yeah.
And tell them where to go and how to find the xfactorpodcast.com. You could write it on an index card to hand it to them.
Yep.
You could chisel it into a stone tablet and deliver it to them that way. You could send them smoke signals. That would be cultural appropriation, though, so be careful with that one.
Yep.
And you could send them a handwritten note, via the Pony Express. But that's how I'd like you to do it.
Yeah, you
I
can
realize
also
that's a little more labor intensive.
Yeah.
But we're going for quality, not quantity.
You could buy a copy of Beyond Stadium Status at beyondstadiumstatus.com, and you can write inside the cover, go check out Coach Brew's new podcast, the X Factor Podcast. That's one way to do it too.
It is. I like that way.
Yeah.
My wife's purse thanks you for doing that way. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode of the X Factor Podcast. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And thank you, Coach Brew, for introducing us to Slater's 50/50.
Thank you. The pleasure's all yours.
Have a great day, everyone.